Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 139 today, titled Tony Chopper.
And we finally get a name for the little guy we've been seeing glimpses of, but maybe not in the way he would have wanted.
Not at all. Oda gives us this huge lore drop on our future doctor while Luffy and Sanji are actively trying to cook and eat him. It's perfect. It's the most Straw Hat introduction imaginable. You couldn't write a more fitting hello for this crew if you tried.
It's certainly one way to meet your future crew. A trial by fire, or in this case, a trial by stew pot. If you want to be here for the moment they inevitably ask to try a bite of his antler, you should probably subscribe. We'll be covering it all.
Let's get into it. The chapter kicks off right after that avalanche. So the chapter opens and boom, Vivi and Usopp are alive. They dug themselves out of the snow, but they are completely, utterly lost. You can feel the cold coming off the page, the sound effects, the wind lines. Oda makes you feel like you're freezing with them.
Which on a winter island like Drum is basically a death sentence. The cold is as much of an enemy as any of Wapol's soldiers. They're just wandering in a blizzard, and the paneling reflects their disorientation. We see tight shots of their faces, their chattering teeth, and then wide, empty panels of just white. It's an effective way to show how small and helpless they are.
You're right, it's terrifying. They can't see more than a few feet in front of them. Usopp is trying to be brave, trying to keep Vivi's spirits up, but you can see the panic in his eyes. He's the one who is supposed to have a plan, even a stupid one, and he's got nothing. Vivi is trying to rely on her royal training, but what good is diplomacy against a blizzard? They're just two normal people against the full force of the Grand Line's weather.
It's a recurring theme. The Straw Hats can defeat powerful enemies, but they are consistently humbled by nature itself. Reverse Mountain, the Calm Belt, the strange weather patterns, and now this. A simple blizzard is a more immediate threat to them than a former Shichibukai was.
Exactly. And just as they're about to lose hope, they literally bump into someone. They can't even see who it is at first, just a silhouette in the snow. And it's Zoro, almost completely naked in the middle of a sub-zero blizzard.
He has his haramaki, his pants, and his swords. That's it. No shirt, no coat. And he's not even shivering. He claims he was doing training when the avalanche hit, which is both the most believable and unbelievable excuse I've ever heard.
It is so perfectly Zoro. It's not even a question. Who else would decide that the best way to acclimate to a frozen wasteland is to strip down and meditate under an ice-cold waterfall? He's a monster, a wonderful, ridiculous monster. I can't even process the level of physical endurance that requires. My pipes would freeze solid and this guy is just vibing.
It also explains how he survived. His endurance is just on another level entirely. Anyone else would have been frozen solid within minutes. Zoro just calls it a good workout. It reminds me of the stories of monks who could control their body temperature through sheer force of will. For Zoro, his will and his body are so intertwined, he can simply decide not to be cold.
Or he's just too dumb to realize he should be cold. I think it's a 50-50 split. But you see Usopp and Vivi's reaction, and it's pure disbelief. They're bundled up in layers of clothes, and they're about to become popsicles, and this guy is walking around like it's a pleasant spring day. It's the first time they've really seen the gap between a normal person and someone like Zoro in terms of raw physical stats.
An excellent point. They saw his strength in Whiskey Peak, but this is different. This isn't about swordsmanship. This is about a fundamental resilience that borders on inhuman.
And the best part is he has no idea where he is either. So now you've got the navigator in training, Vivi, and the guy who gets lost on a straight line, Zoro, leading the guy who can't find his own shoes, Usopp. It's a disaster.
A recipe for one, yes, but somehow, through sheer dumb luck, or perhaps the universe having a sense of humor, they stumble right back to Bighorn, the village at the base of the mountain.
The combined negative navigation skills somehow looped them all the way around the island and back to where they started. It's like their bad sense of direction is so powerful it created a geographical anomaly. It's like two negatives making a positive. Zoro's inability to go straight and Usopp's panic-induced running somehow cancel each other out and put them on the right path. You can't even write this stuff. Well, Oda can.
It's a gag, but it also serves the plot perfectly. It gets our characters exactly where they need to be for the next major development, without any time wasted on a long, arduous journey. Oda is a master of efficient, character-driven plotting.
Speaking of plot, the mood in Bighorn is grim. The moment they arrive, the comedy just vanishes. The villagers are huddled together, desperate. They find out Dalton is still alive, but he's buried under the snow from that same avalanche.
It seems he was trying to lead the villagers to safety when it hit. He must have taken the brunt of it to save them. He's a true leader, even without a title.
He really is. And he's alive. There's this flicker of hope. They can save him. But Wapol's men are there, stopping the villagers from even trying to dig him out. That is just... It's a special kind of evil. It's not enough for Wapol that Dalton is gone. He has to make the people watch and feel helpless.
It's calculated cruelty. Wapol understands that breaking their hope is more effective than breaking their bodies. Dalton was their symbol of defiance, the last remnant of the kind rule of the previous king. By forcing the people to be bystanders to his slow death, Wapol is asserting his absolute sadistic control. He's telling them, even your heroes are powerless before me, and you are too weak to even try to save them.
That's the thing that sets him apart from a guy like Arlong or Krieg. They were brutal, sure. Arlong ruled with an iron fist, but it was for a cause, twisted as it was, the supremacy of fishmen. Krieg wanted to conquer the East Blue. They had ambitions. Wapol is just so petty. He's a king who genuinely hates his own people and enjoys their suffering. It's not a means to an end. Their suffering is the end.
He's a tyrant in the most classical sense. He doesn't see the kingdom as a resource to be managed or a people to be ruled, but as a toy to be broken for his own amusement. It makes the stakes of this arc incredibly personal. This isn't just about finding a doctor for Nami anymore. Now the crew is entangled in the liberation of a kingdom. They stumbled into it, as they so often do.
And speaking of entanglement, Zoro hears the villagers talking. You see the panels focus on his face. He's just listening. He hears that these guards work for Wapol and that Wapol is hurting these people. And his brain just clicks. It's simple math for him. These people are in our way. They work for a bad guy. Therefore, they are the enemy.
The villagers are begging the guards, pleading with them to let them dig. They're offering anything they have. And the guards are just mocking them, laughing about how Dalton is probably suffocating under the snow. The tension is incredibly high. You're just waiting for something to snap.
And Zoro just walks up. No big speech, no heroic declaration. He just sizes them up. The villagers see him and they see this force of nature, this half-naked swordsman who just appeared out of a blizzard. It must be like a demon or a god just manifested in front of them.
They're desperate for a hero. They've been oppressed for so long, and here is someone who doesn't look afraid. He looks powerful. In that moment, they're pinning all their hopes on this complete stranger.
And Zoro delivers. He just flattens one of the guards, doesn't even unsheath a sword. It's not even a named punch. He just straight up knocks him out with one hit. The guy goes flying and the whole village erupts. They're chanting and cheering for him, calling him a hero.
It's the classic hero's arrival, the mysterious, powerful stranger who stands up for the weak against the local thugs. It's a scene straight out of an old samurai film.
And then Oda pulls the rug out from under all of us. Zoro looks at the guy he just decked, looks at the other terrified guards, and says, with a completely straight face, that he just wanted their warm parkas.
The fact that they were villains stopping the rescue of a beloved leader was just a bonus. His primary motivation was that he was cold, and he saw people with coats. The most direct path to getting a coat was to take it from them.
It is the single most Zoro moment in the entire series so far. He operates on a level of pragmatism that is almost inhuman. He's not a hero, he's not a villain, he's just Zoro. And sometimes being Zoro lines up perfectly with being a hero. The villagers are cheering for their liberator and he's just stripping the unconscious guards for their winter gear. It's absolutely hilarious and so revealing.
It's his particular moral compass. It doesn't point towards a grand concept of justice like, I must save these people. It points towards protecting his friends and doing what he needs to do in the moment. In this case, I am cold, I need a coat, and these people are with an enemy, I can hit them. Everything else is incidental. The outcome was heroic, but the intent was purely practical.
I love it so much. It tells you everything you need to know about him. He'll save your country, but don't expect a thank you speech. He's probably just looking for a place to nap or some booze. He's not doing it for the glory. He's doing it because it was the thing in front of him to do. It's such a clean, simple worldview. Super.
And while all this is happening on the ground, a chaotic mix of tragedy and comedy, we cut to the top of the mountain, inside Wapol's old castle. The atmosphere shifts completely. It's quiet.
Nami finally wakes up. She's in a proper bed, warm, the fever has clearly broken, but the first thing she sees is this strange little creature standing in her room, and the way it's framed is kind of creepy. He's just standing there at the foot of her bed.
It's the one we saw with Dr. Kureha, the one that looks like a tiny reindeer person, and he's just observing her, very impersonally. It's a little unsettling. He's not communicating, just watching. Nami is understandably confused and a little frightened.
Totally. He's not menacing, just odd. He's hiding half his body behind the doorframe, peeking out at her. He's clearly scared, but for Nami, waking up from a near-death experience to see that, it would be jarring. And then the door opens and in walks Dr. Kureha.
Her first word to Nami is just happy? No coddling, no gentle bedside manner, just a pure, blunt assessment. I adore her already. She has the confidence of someone who has seen everything and is impressed by nothing.
She's incredible. She immediately confirms everyone is safe, that Luffy and Sanji are fine, and then gets right down to business. She tells Nami that she was on death's door, that her life was hanging by the thinnest of threads.
And she gives the illness a name, Kesha. She says it's caused by a bite from the Kestia, a tropical tick that was thought to be extinct. The moment she said that, I knew exactly where this was going.
And where did we last see an island with extinct creatures? Little Garden. That little bug that bit Nami wasn't just a gag, it was a Chekhov's gun of epidemiology. Oda planted that seed chapters and chapters ago, and we all just thought it was a funny moment of Nami getting annoyed.
Oda laid that seed 2 islands ago. He made us think the threat of Little Garden was the giants, the dinosaurs, Mr. 3 and his Baroque works agents. But the whole time, the real lingering killer was a tiny insect we barely paid attention to. It's a brilliant piece of writing. It reinforces the idea that the Grand Line is dangerous in ways you can't even anticipate.
That's the kind of long-form storytelling that just gets me so hyped. It makes the world feel so real and so dangerous. You can't just punch your way through the Grand Line. Sometimes it's a microscopic threat that will take you out. It retroactively makes the Little Garden arc even more tense.
Kureha says if they had arrived even 2 days later, Nami would have been dead. The stakes of their journey up that mountain, Luffy climbing with his bare hands while carrying her, and Sanji were as real as they get. They didn't just save her from a bad fever, they saved her from certain death.
And what does Nami do with this information? Hearing that she narrowly escaped a gruesome death and that she needs a few more days of rest to fully recover, she immediately says she feels better and wants to leave, because staying for 3 more days of treatment is too long and probably too expensive.
The hustle is eternal. Even on her deathbed, she's thinking about their schedule and their budget. It's so perfectly Nami. She hears ancient doctor in a castle, and her mind immediately goes to the size of the bill.
She's the heart of the crew's logistics. Without her, they'd all be broke and sailing in circles. But before she can argue anymore, before Kureha can lay into her for being a terrible patient,
the door to the room explodes inward, not opened. It's smashed off its hinges.
And it's Luffy and Sanji. They come tumbling into the room in a full-on cartoon dust cloud, screaming about catching their emergency food supply. They look completely feral. They've been recovering, and clearly the first thing on their minds was food.
And the emergency food supply is, of course, the little reindeer creature. They are actively trying to catch, cook, and eat him in the room of their friend who just recovered from a deadly illness. Their sense of decorum is, as always, non-existent.
This is it. This is the moment. The chaos is perfect. Nami is just sitting up in bed, completely baffled, watching her captain and cook try to turn this little creature into a meal. She asks the obvious question, who is this weird little talking animal?
And Dr. Kureha completely unfazed by the violent destruction of her doorway or the attempted cannibalism, just calmly drops one of the biggest lore bombshells we've had in a long time.
She says, "That's Tony Tony Chopper, and he's a reindeer who ate the Hito Hito no Mi."
The human fruit.
A zoan fruit that turns an animal into a human. We've seen humans eat fruits that let them become animals, like Dalton with the bison fruit. We've seen objects eat fruits, like Mr. Four's dog gun, but this is the reverse of what we'd expect. Oda is already breaking the patterns of his own power system just 100 chapters in.
It reframes everything we thought we knew about zoan types. What does a human fruit even do to an animal? Does it grant intelligence, the ability to speak, complex thought and reason? We've seen talking animals before, but they were always just animals who could talk. Chopper is something else entirely. He's wearing clothes, he's hiding out of shame or fear. He displays complex human emotions.
And he can transform. Kureha confirms it. He has his normal reindeer form, the little hybrid form we're seeing now, and that big lumbering humanoid form he used to carry Luffy and Sanji. He's a Zoan with multiple transformations already, which is more than we've seen from Dalton.
Kureha also mentions, almost as an aside, that she taught him her medical skills. He's not just a talking reindeer. He is a doctor, the very reason they undertook this perilous journey.
A doctor. The very thing they climbed this whole frozen mountain to find. He was right here all along. And their first instinct, their very first interaction with their future crewmate and doctor, is to try and eat him. It is so unbelievably perfectly Straw Hat. This is super. It's a declaration of friendship in their own twisted way.
It also adds a layer of immediate tragedy to his character. Kureha's tone when she says his name, she's protective of him. Think about his existence from an objective standpoint. A reindeer that can talk and think like a human. He would be cast out by his own herd for being different, a monster. And humans, as we are seeing from Luffy and Sanji, would just see him as a strange beast, a monster to be captured or eaten.
Bro, he's a total outcast. He's not part of the animal world, and he's not part of the human world. He is utterly and completely alone, which is probably why he hides from everyone. That wasn't just him being shy when Nami woke up. It's a deep-seated fear of people.
He's not just shy. He's been rejected by 2 entire societies. His life has likely been one of constant fear and loneliness. Of course he's afraid of people, especially people who, upon meeting him, immediately try to turn him into hot pot. Their actions, while played for comedy, are validating his deepest traumas in real time.
This chapter just opened up so much. We have a name, a power, and the first hints of a really, really tragic backstory for the crew's doctor. And it all came together in a blast of absolute chaos, with a punchline about parkas and an attempt at cannibalism. Classic One Piece.
So we know a bit about Chopper now, but we still have Wapol out there, presumably on his way back to the castle. If you have any thoughts on how that confrontation is going to go, let us know in the comments. We read all of them.
Okay, predictions for chapter 140. I'll go first. My first one is simple. We are getting the Chopper backstory next. Kureha set it up perfectly. Luffy and Sanji's reaction proves that Chopper isn't just a weird animal. He's a person with feelings, and he's terrified. Kureha is going to tell Nami and the others why he's so scared of people, and it is going to break our hearts. We're about to learn about the man who inspired him, the man who gave him that hat.
That feels inevitable. The stage is perfectly set for a flashback. I'll build on that for my first one. I predict we will not only get the backstory, but we will learn the name of another doctor, Chopper's original mentor and father figure. Kureha said she taught him her medical skills, which implies a pre-existing foundation. I think someone else found him first, someone who showed him kindness when both humans and reindeer rejected him, and who inspired him to study medicine in the first place. I believe his story will be the emotional core of this entire arc.
Ooh, I like that. Bold. Okay, my second prediction, the rest of the crew is going to meet at the base of the Drum Rockies. Zoro, Usopp, and Vivi are already in Bighorn helping the villagers dig out Dalton. Luffy and Sanji are up at the castle, but there's no way they're going to stay put now that they have a new game to chase. They'll chase Chopper right down the mountain and run smack into the others. The whole crew minus Nami will be reunited as just Wapol and his forces arrive to retake the castle, setting the stage for a massive battle at the foot of the mountain.
A grand battlefield reunion. I can see that playing out. For my second prediction, I'm focusing on the devil fruit itself, the Hito Hito no Mi. Kureha revealed he's a reindeer who can become a human, but we've already seen 3 distinct forms. I'm not sure what the typical limit is for a Zoan user, but I predict Kureha will explain that Chopper, through his medical genius, has developed multiple transformations beyond what we've seen so far. He'll use a new, unseen form next chapter, probably to get away from Luffy. Something specialized, like a form for enhanced speed or for jumping incredible distances. He's not just a standard Zoan user. He's a medical scholar who has been studying and experimenting on his own body. He's a scientist, and his devil fruit is his primary subject. That's what will make him truly unique.
A doctor who hacked his own devil fruit? That sounds super. I can't wait to see if you're right. All right, that's all the time we have for today.
Join us next time as we continue our journey through Drum Island. Until then, keep an eye on the horizon.
And watch out for extinct ticks. This has been Inherited Dawn.